Welcome everyone to another Legends podcast here on Eurosport. Today I am excited to be joined by seven-time Grand Slam champion, former world number one, Justine Henin. Justine, thanks for being with me. And also I'm going to be joined by, again, Carlos Moya. Thanks, Carlos, former world number one. I hope you're doing well.
Well, everything is well, thank you.
And another friend of mine, Carlos Costa, a former top 10 player, the best one that I've ever played against. Carlos, thank you so much. Of course, Carlos is the agent for Rafael Nadal as well. Guys, thank you, everybody. Today, we're going to discuss something very interesting, which is Rafael Nadal. We've dedicated one week to Rafael Nadal. Carlos, both of you guys have met and known Rafa for a very long time. I think Carlos Costa is Rafa's agent. You met him first in 2001, is that correct? Somewhere there?
Yeah, first time I met Rafa was 2001, yeah.
And Carlos in Mallorca, you practiced with him since how old was he?
Well, since he was probably 14. I met him in '97, actually in Stuttgart, not in Mallorca, in a tournament, in the indoor tournament in Stuttgart. He was playing an under 12 tournament event, and I met him there. I hit with him there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But then when I was back to Mallorca, I was going to practice where he was practicing with the federation in Mallorca. And since then we started to practice more often than before. So he was 14, I think we were practicing together.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to do this slightly backwards because we have Justine. Justine, you have a very interesting experience because you won the French Open in 2005, 2006, 2007, and Rafa won his first French Open in 2005. He has now won 12. You won 3. I mean, when you look at his career and what he's done at Roland Garros, you know how dominant you were those 3 years. What goes through your mind? This Rafa is an absolute monster. How do you do that?
Well, the way he's still now, on the tour and fighting so much to get more, I'm really impressed by that because I'm home, take care of my kids, and I have a lot of respect about the fact that he keeps that motivation to be there. When I saw Rafa in 2005, probably was a little bit early, but when he won the French Open for the first time, I've been impressed by his values, the respect he had with the court, the education also, and just the spirit, the mentality. I think we really was clear that guy was a good guy and I was going to be there for a long time. So from that time, I really understood he will have a lot of things to teach to the young players because what he shows on the court, with his attitude and with his mentality, it's going to be so good for the game.
Well, I mean, you could see that in 2005. The interesting thing is that it seems that both you, Carlos, you noticed that very early. So when you see Rafa play now, Carlos, in Carlos Costa in mainland Spain, did you know then that Rafa was going to behave the way he is on court today? Was it clear to you?
I don't think it's clear. I mean, no one expects this from anybody. I mean, normally tennis, the history of tennis has been that a lot of good players like Justin, yourself, but you can dominate the tour 2 years, but at the end, somebody will change and people, the renovation. In this case, between Roger, Rafa, and Nole, they have been dominating the tour, winning most of the big tournaments. And especially on Rafa, when I signed Rafa or in 2005, of course I thought that he has something special and he can be one of the top players to win a Grand Slam, but I never thought about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 19, never. Especially coming from Spain where the maximum we had is Moya with 1, I think, Rubera 2. So in Spain we didn't have a lot of history about winning a lot of Grand Slams. It was difficult for us.
Manolo Santana, who was maybe your most successful male tennis player, I guess, before Rafa Nadal. But Carlos, the interesting thing is, I get this question all the time. Rafa from Mallorca. Okay, Mallorca is an island with a lot of tourism. I think life is pretty good for somebody that grows up in Mallorca? If you grow up in a family that has its own business, how, when you are used to the beach and boats and relaxing and Mallorca, how do you have the fire that Rafa has come out with? Where do you think that comes from?
I think you are born like that. I mean, you can learn a lot of things, and for sure he learned and he improved in many ways. But that you have to have it. Also, his background is very good. He has a family that was into professional sport before, so for sure that helped. But that's the way he is. I mean, if you can teach that, we will have many Rafas, and we don't have that at all. So that's something that I mean, it's amazing that that happened. Like Carlos said, nobody could expect a guy from Mallorca to win 19 Grand Slams, 12 French Open. For me, it was a big surprise that he won Wimbledon as well. But I think for sure you improve things, but you are born like that, and I have no doubt about that.
But is it also, Carlos, the education? Because Rafa has the feet on the ground. He has this humility that everyone can recognize to him. Is that really, as you said, natural coming from the family? Is the whole family like that? And for him, it's just natural to be like that?
Yeah, I think it comes natural from him. Also, like I said, his background is very good. Also, the Mallorca is the calm island. We are called the calm guys from the island. And for the atmosphere we have here, we take things very easy, you know, and we are pretty relaxed. We like to chill, you know, and I think in that sense, Rafa is like that. But then once he steps on the court, he becomes a beast. You know, he gives his more than 100%. I would say he never gives up. He never. He always fighting. I think even if he loses, you know as a coach or Carlos as an agent that he's gonna give his best. So getting to the court, knowing that, I think it's something that you cannot have in many players. So I guess the nature of the island has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Let me add one thing here, because I spent a lot of time with Rafa when he was 14, 15, 16. In that period of time in Mallorca, in Manacor, there were not hotels. So every time I went to Mallorca, I slept at his house. And then on my way from the house to the club, even when he wake up, I mean, you can see how focused he was. Only with 15, 16, 17 years old, we were having breakfast and he was focused on the practice on that day, just thinking about today, I need to work my slice or myself. So he's something special here mentally and about the concentration and to improve every day.
Yeah, you know, I have an interesting, I ran into a certain Boris Becker on a private plane with his agent at the time, Jon Tiriac. And we were having food in the plane, and Boris, who's a big guy, was putting food in his mouth, and then he put his fingers to try and take food from his tooth. And Jon Tiriac, he didn't slap him, but he went, "Boris, you have to put your hand in front of your mouth." Did you, as an agent, Carlos, did you have to teach Rafa how to be a grown-up person, a polite human being with sponsors, with tournament directors, or like Justine said, was it just everything natural?
It was everything natural. Of course, when he was younger, 15, 16, 17, he was asking more questions than now. And I had some answers, some other answers, maybe I didn't have the answers. So we were like a team, you know. And also the family, I mean, it's not, I'm the agent, Moya is the coach, is the father. There are a lot of different people in the team that I give my opinion on tennis. Moya can give the opinion about how we are managing the image also. So we all work together. Of course, when we talk about tennis, it's different. But when we talk about image, father, uncle, the coach, the physiotherapist, everybody gives his opinion, and we try to find the best for him.
Yeah, you guys have an unbelievably close team. Justine, I want to ask you about Rafa. To me, I cannot believe Rafa played the Wimbledon final as well as he did against Roger Federer and eventually won Wimbledon 2008. I mean, that stands out for me. You as a clay court specialist, you just like me, never managed to win Wimbledon.
Thank you to
I'm sorry to remind you of that, but everybody reminds me every day.
That's so good.
Oh, but it's a nice feeling to have a reason to talk about it. What do you think? How did he do that?
Well, I will always remember one image coming from the French Open to Wimbledon. I don't really remember what year it was, but I saw Rafa on the practice courts over there, and hitting harder and more focus. Carlos was talking about the focus. We can see it's in him, and he reminds me also a lot because sometimes he looks anxious. He has doubts, but it looks like the hard work gives the confidence. And I could see in his eyes that there was a mission, also to really prove he was good on other surfaces. And for me, when it was in 2008, it was, I don't know if it was a key moment in his career. It would be interesting to hear about you guys about that. But I'm sure, when you run after this, when I won on hard court after the French Open, it was 2 months later, the US Open. But for me to win in the United States, it was far from my culture and it was tough for me. But to win somewhere else on another kind of surface was something huge. So I'm pretty sure for Rafa, prove that to the tennis world, because everyone was just talking about his game on clay, and to prove that he could win on grass. It wasn't on hard, it was on grass. Yeah, I thought it was something really amazing. What did you think on that, Mats? Do you think it was something that could bring him in another dimension?
Well, I think that turned him into a superstar. Yes, I never thought that with his style he could. I wonder if it's because, and I'm going to ask you, Carlos, Moya, because Rafa had a few injuries along the way. How does his career keep going? How is he able to refocus again and again and again and again? I mean, once or twice, but he's able to do it over and over and over again. Does this help him in the long run, or explain that to me?
To me, it's amazing. Like I said, if that's something that you can teach, I don't think you can teach that, because there is only one Rafa, and all the struggles he had in the past, he always came back stronger, and he's been through a lot of pain in the past, and sometimes even doctors saying that that's going to be really bad, and they were not sure if he was going to be able to come back, even more when he was younger. But he always somehow found a way to come back stronger, and his mentality, it's amazing. It's something that I still learn from seeing him every day. How focused he is, how he competes, his will to keep evolving and to keep improving. And of course he wants to win, but he wants to improve. I think wanting to improve is the way for him to then win. He knows if he's ready, if he's evolving, he's improving, he's going to find a way to win. So he's very focused on that. And, being in that race for a number of Grand Slams also is for sure is giving him power and strength to still come back, to see all the other guys that even at this age still able to compete. I think they encourage each other to be better players, so that also helps.
And Carlos, as the agent, you have been with so much ups and downs with Rafa. When have you been the most proudest agent? After difficult times, there is a certain victory. When was for you the biggest moment when you say, "Wow, this guy really impressed me"?
I mean, I remember when he won the French Open in 2005, and then he went to Wimbledon, and I think he lost second round.
Yes.
For me, it was normal. I mean, he was a clay court player. I never thought he would be that good on grass or even on hardcore, I don't know. And then he was very depressed, thinking about, wow, I want to win Wimbledon once, and I don't know if I'm going to make it. So the way he was working on this to improve himself, his tennis and everything, it was unbelievable. And then I saw, and also when I remember, I remember once, and he was 16, and I asked, will you sign Carlos Moya career now? If I tell you that you will win one Grand Slam, number one and he said to me, Carlos Moya, I said first Carlos Costa, and then Albert Costa, and then Carlos Moya Gary, and he said to me, well, I mean, I would love to be a tennis player, but at the same time, I want to be myself. So I prefer to not sign anybody, just see what happens, you know? So that shows you that he doesn't, I mean, he wants to be a tennis player, but himself. Otherwise, he prefers to stay home. It's not like me, 14 years old, you ask me if you want to sign Moya's career, I say yes, 100%.
Good that he didn't. Good that he didn't.
Yeah.
He came close.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. But I have to ask you, Carlos Moya, because you have stepped in to the role of being a main coach of Rafael. We obviously know that Tony Nadal was there forever. Tony was with him most probably since he was, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years old on the tennis court. Tony, I'm sure, is very involved still, but he's not officially there anymore. So I know he listens to you. He listens to Tony. And Carlos Costa, I know he listens to you. I think he listened to the Davis Cup captain, if it was Conchita Martinez or Alex Correcha. When you now step in, how difficult is it for you to have him listen to you, or Rafa takes advice from everybody?
I think he picks things from everybody. I believe he's smart enough, and he's aware of everything. So he knows everything. And then let's say from 10 things that I can tell him, maybe he picks 2. From Carlos Costa, same. You know, he's smart to we are a big team as well. Is Francis there too, that he is also picking things from Francis. So the good thing from the team is that all of us, we have the same idea of which Rafa we want, you know. So our message to him, even with different words, different person that is telling him, is the message is the same. So I think that's easier, that we as a team stick together on that. We pass him on the same message of what we want. But there's so many people that is around him out of his team that wants to give an opinion. That's normal. We understand that. And he's smart enough to pick things that he thinks that can work for him. And then it's about trying. And then if it works, good. If it doesn't work, change things and something else.
Yeah,
Justine, I have to ask you, Justine, we had a chat before this. How does that work in your world? Would that work?
Well, I think it's a little bit more complicated for the girls. We were talking together about the fact that the guys, they have more people around them now than 15 years ago, or maybe when you were playing, that's for sure. And for the girls, everything has to be clear in, you know, what's the role of that coach, what's the role of that person. For me, it was very easy because my team was very small. I never wanted to have so many people around me because it took a lot of energy to me. But what Carlos is saying is very interesting, because about the fact that Rafa is very smart, but also talking about one voice, the same vision. I think it's very important for the player to feel that the team is talking with the same voice. At the end, even if sometimes we cannot agree on everything, but at the end we can find a good solution for the player who is in the center of the problem, you know. So what was, when you were playing Mats, did you have many people around you? Was that easy for you to listen to different people, or it was more you and yourself? How did it work?
No, just one coach, but I think it's different. We had so many Swedish tennis players that were professionals, and both Carloses would know that. There were so many good guys from Sweden. We always talked together, we practiced together, we played Davis Cup together. So it was like we were helping each other a little bit. That's what I find fascinating about Rafa as well, is that he wants to play Davis Cup. He wants to play doubles in the Olympics. Sometimes we play Davis Cup and he shouldn't be playing Davis Cup, but he plays Davis Cup anyway. I mean, the heart of Rafa Nadal. So my next question to you, both Carlos, is, and either of you can answer, when I watch Rafa, I feel a certain pain when I see him not comfortable on the court, when he's a little anxious and he's nervous. So for you who are close to him, is it about winning to you, about Rafa, or is it just to see Rafa at the end of the match feeling, oh, I gave everything I had and I am happy to lose to Roger today or Novak yesterday, but I just want to be able to give everything. Sometimes Rafa, and I feel like it's not about winning or losing, it's about his effort.
To me, he's a perfectionist. He wants to do always well. Even when we practice, we do like a drill, hits 40 balls, unbelievable, so hard. 41st ball he misses, he's upset. So I said, come on, you're not gonna have hitting like that. None of the rallies you're gonna have is gonna last 40 balls. So don't worry, the point is gonna finish before. So he always wants to be better. That's and he's a competitor, like Carlos said. He never gives up. He's very with himself. He's very demanding with himself. So that's one of the things that I think made him so good. And on the other side, he gets a lot of stress from that. It's not just about winning. He wants to win and play well. He wants to feel 100%. He wants to play well every point, and that's not possible. So we have to put a lot of pressure on that with him, that to chill, relax a little bit. You need to play 100%, maybe 10, 15 matches per year. The rest, you have to try to win and to stay in shape, good shape, practice well. And then once you have these important matches, try to be at the 100%. But it's not possible to play 80 matches a year, playing your best. That's impossible.
I find Rafael Nadal fascinating, I have to say. And I've always thought of both of you, especially Carlos Costa. I always thought, oh, it must be the easiest job in the world to be the agent for Rafa, who's the nicest guy in the world. But it's not. Carlos, Moya being the coach, how hard is that? Well, it must be hard because I've noticed this much, that Rafa surrounds himself by quality people. And you have to show up every day and do your part, because he is going to give you 100% every time. And I am sure he expects you guys to give 100% every time. And that's why you're there. So thank you so much for this first part of our podcast with Carlos Costa, Carlos Moya, Justine Henin. I'm Mats, and we're going to be back in a little bit. And we're going to be joined by Francisco Roig, who's going to take Carlos Costa's place. So Carlos, you go back to your work, and Carlos Moya will be with you in a little bit. Then now we've been joined by Francisco Roig, who has been Rafa's coach, one of the coaches, technically, tactically. Francisco, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to start with you. How are you doing?
Good, Matt. Thank you to invite me to talk a little bit about tennis. On this period, I think we cannot play, but at least we can talk.
You are going to get a chance to try to explain to all of us about Rafa's changes in his serve and his grip and his forehand. But first, when did you start working with Rafa, Francis?
Well, it was in 2005. We went to South America to play 3 tournaments. We played in Buenos Aires, Costa de Sauipe and Acapulco, and he lost quarterfinals to Gaudio. Unbelievable match. Gaudio just won the French Open the year before, and Rafa won 6-0, first set, playing unbelievable, and then the crowd started killing him, talking unbelievable on that court. I saw so many things, and he lost 6-0, 6-1. So he was so disappointing, but I think it was a good lesson for him, and then he won the next 2 tournaments, so it was great.
Carlos, how do you, because I look at you and Francisco that are both former players, you're both coaches, you're both very technically minded, you're both obviously tacticians. How do you fit in with each other, and what does the conversation sound like between the two of you? Do you agree, disagree?
You never agree 100% with everyone. I mean, that's not possible. But the thing is, what I said before, that the whole team, we have a clear view of what we want from Rafa. And on that, we agree on 99% of things. So it's good to have four eyes, two different voices to pass the message to Rafa. And I have to say that we also rely on Carlos Costa. Carlos is his agent, but he was top player before. So he's also voice of experience, of knowledge of tennis that we can talk to him not as an agent, but also as someone who knows about tennis a lot. So I think that we fit very well. I think you have, once you are with a player like that caliber, you have to put your ego aside and work for him.
Yeah, Justine.
Yeah, do you
Justine, I want to ask you.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Matt.
I need to ask you first.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if your roles are very clear. You know, one of you is going more on the technique, for example, the other is going more on the tactic side, for example, and also about the communication with Rafa. Do you both communicate, you know, not the same way, but is one of you communicating more because it's easier, or you really take it globally, you know, because it's pretty, not strange because it becomes more usual, but you say it's very fluid, but is it very clear of who is doing what?
Well, as Carlos said, we had a clear goal that, especially with a player that we know is at the end of his career, he had he spent a lot of energy on all his career. So the goal was to play more aggressive, no? Try to serve better, to be more aggressive, to be shorter with the points. Obviously, always to see for two guys the same way is not easy, but almost 90% we were agree. And we had a lot of communication. Today with the technology, I mean, everything is easier. And Carlos is a master on technology. He gets all the statistics. We always know that he's the king of the statistics, so this helps a lot. And I think it's a great communication. Also, I have to say that Rafa puts everything to be everything easier. He's a guy, he likes to be always with a good relation with all. He hate the problems, so he puts everything easy on the way.
But you have to accept it, right? Justine, you and I were talking. You have to. It's one thing for Carlos to come and say, Rafa, you should serve more to your right-hander's forehand, less slice, second serve with more kick. And Francis, you might say something about the grip, although the grip we're going to come back to in the serve, because I'm not sure what the story is. But Justine, to you as a player, if my coach told me that and I've won 7 majors, when he tells me, I'm going to say, hey, really? You think I'm going to change now? No. What have you done? So Justine, how you as a player, how does Rafa do that? And were you able to?
Well, I think we all know and agree that makes the great players and the great champions, the acceptation of changing things or improving things to become a better player, because the concurrence is tough. I think in our mentality, all of us, we want to give the best. We want to make sure that we can be better in many ways, you know, as a person, as a player. For Rafa, it looks like it's pretty natural. I read an interview of Francisco preparing this a little bit, and you were saying that he is listening a lot, which is just the sign of an open mind, which is the key. If you open yourself, okay, how can I get better? And then you start to feel, but first it's to accept. At 14 years old, my coach, Carlos, I had a very bad grip in my forehand, and he said, with a forehand like that, your dream is to become #1, but you will never make it. And we decided that I would go away for competitions for 6 months, and we decided to change the grip, which was a big change. At the beginning, it was so hard to accept, but at the end of the process, I understood I was a much better player and that maybe I could reach my goals. And Rafa, I think that we can see in his eyes, in his mentality, he wants to be better, he wants to learn, he wants to listen. And that's the key why he's still on the tour trying to get better. Because when you see at all these top players and the level of the men's game, I don't know what you think on that, Mats, but if you stop trying to improve, it means it might be the end. So that is why he's still at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that I think tennis is very difficult to change because you play tennis the way you want to play. Winning is a byproduct of playing tennis the way you want to play. Everybody always said Andy Roddick, the great serving American, if he could play more aggressively, he could beat Roger Federer and win more. Well, he didn't want to play more aggressively. So to Francis and Carlos, the thing about Rafa is that I think originally he's a baseliner who likes to play from the back and likes to play a little bit of defense. Or was he as a kid more aggressive than we realized? Because I've also seen when he beat you, Carlos, in Hamburg in 2003, I just watched it on YouTube. He was extremely aggressive for 16 years old.
Yeah, his legs were amazing. When he was 16, he was so fast, so explosive, and he was hitting the ball really hard. And yeah, like Francis said, I think what we wanted for these last years of his career was to try to make him more aggressive. It's true that he has been winning since he was 16, 17, but probably his game was changing from very aggressive at the beginning. Then you start to be aware of things. You start to feel more the pressure. Probably you want to win, and you are not probably maybe evolving that much. So you just try to win, no matter what it takes. And then there is another period where you see that you are getting more injured, that you are approaching the end of your career, and that you need to do something. And in this case, there is no other option than that, than to try to shortening the points, try to save better. And it's amazing that someone, I have to talk about myself because I joined the team 3 years ago, he already won 14 Grand Slams before that. So it's amazing how someone still is listening when he has won so much in the past. That's something that you barely see in these days. You see guys that didn't win any tournament not having this amount of respect that he has for the rest of the team, and to be open to keep improving, to keep evolving. It's very clear in his mind that he knows he has to be more aggressive, and he listens to us. And then, like I said before, he picks things from another, and then he tries to apply for himself. Then some things work, and some things I said is not working, something Francis said is not working, but he tries that. And then it's about failure, or if he fails, then he sees that maybe it's not working for him. But it's amazing how he listens, how he wants to improve, and in a way that has done so much in the past. That's something that is not easy to find.
Yeah, I changed my game in 1988 and was hitting way more slice backhands, like all the time. I was coming to the net all the time. And that lasted for 1 Grand Slam victory and 2 more tournaments. And that's it. I never won another tournament after 1 more year. I could never find or feel the same motivation to win because it wasn't me playing anymore. It was a slice backhand and a volley player. I find with Roger has changed his game. We know that. But you can't really tell how he feels about it. With Rafa, he's changing his game. He's changing his grip, Francis. But emotionally, he's still showing the same attitude and appetite for competing. That's what we find extraordinary.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think all these 3 guys, Novak, Roger, and Rafa, maybe because they are together on this run, in this race, one motivates to the other one. Probably if Rafa doesn't exist, maybe Roger has already stopped playing tennis 5 years ago. But because of this, I think one makes the other one better. And the ambition is huge. I mean, I can see sometimes with Rafa, he's winning a tournament, a 2050 tournament in the ATP, and he's so happy about that. I mean, a guy who has won 12, 13 Grand Slams when he was like this, and he was playing sometimes small tournaments, not anymore, and he was so happy about that. I mean, you can see how much he likes to win, still winning. Otherwise, there's no chance at this age, after such a big success, to try to keep winning tournaments. You need this ambition, and Rafa Also, he knew it from the beginning. The people were saying that, oh, Rafa, I remember the beginning of the career, this guy is going to play for 3-4 years only. How many times we listen that? So this is one of the arguments. I think that's why Rafa, from the beginning, he wanted to change his game. But at the same time, to change a game for a guy that he was number one, I mean, you have to be, I mean, he has to be agree 100% because as Justine said before, he has success some already. I want to change something that hasn't changed. But he want to do it, and still today, he's listening. So it's the only key, I think, to keep winning.
And guys, for the future, talking about the future, when you at this level, you know, what is going to be the key now? It's going to be, of course, to stay healthy, away from the injuries. The motivation looks there, without going into the secrets. But what can be worked, you know, in the future, not only to stand at this level, but still maybe to improve a little bit more, even more.
Yeah, I think his motivation is going to be very important. He was struggling a little bit last year about this period before the clay court season, and once his motivation was back, which was probably Madrid, then his level was back. He wants to win no matter what game he plays, golf, PlayStation, whatever. So as long as this motivation is there, I think he's going to be able to keep competing and to keep winning.
Francis, we need you. We're gonna let you guys go soon, but we gotta ask you the most important question in Rafael Nadal's career: the serve. The serve has gone from a big slice serve to a very flat serve to now, since you've been there, Carlos, it's been going to the forehand more. Francis, talk to us about the serve. Why has it changed so many times in Rafa's career?
Well, obviously the serve was one of the maybe weakness. Even if he's lefty. I mean, with the lefty serve always works a little bit better. But as we knew it that he had to improve a lot. No, we try, and 3 years ago we tried to fix it, and we were working basically in 3 things, which was the beginning of the movement. With the left arm, he was going more straight with the arm straight up. This was the first part. Then he was making a lot of flexion with the legs, too much. He was sitting when we were taking tapes and videos and photos. When the ball was on the top, he was totally down, and this makes him to lose a lot of power. No, and then the third. Change was on the stepping on the court. I mean, he's moving much more into the court with the right foot. But this is something we wanted to try before. But also with the problem of the knees, it was very, very tough, because we know sometimes he has problems with the knees. So this and then when you have all this, that your serve is working good, I think it's another important mental situation, that when you're ready to serve and you know that it's a real weapon, then you play more attention as a weapon, and you can develop more your serve. Now, sometimes you don't have to ask him to go serve and volley, because his serving is so ahead, and with the same balance, he's going to the net, because he believes more in his serve. So he's trying much more with the serve. Huh? Yeah. So I don't know, Carlos, if you agree with this.
Yeah, I agree. And people also tends to forget about his second serve. I think his second serve, to me, is the key in the sense of that he's not afraid to miss the first serve now. He put maybe 15 kilometers per hour more, even 20, sometimes 25 average, I mean. And that gives him the chance that he doesn't care if he misses the first serve. And then, of course, we had to work, like Francis said, on his first serve, and yeah, to put more power, to add some variety, and to go to the tee, go to the body, go wide. So this combo, I think, is helping him to be more aggressive. Of course, we want him to be more aggressive, but if his serve doesn't work, there is no way to be aggressive after that. So yeah, and it came from him. I mean, we put a lot of pressure on him to try to improve his serve. first year 2017 he knew, but he wanted to keep that same pattern on his serve, but then in 2018 he stepped up and he said, okay, let's do this now. That's the good thing of injuries. It came after an injury where we had a lot of time, and that's when he said, okay, let's do this, I'm ready, let's go for it. And of course, when a player says that, I think that helps in making a change.
That in the past, on the first serve, many times he was serving a good speed, 195 or 190 or 200 kilometers per hour, which is, I think, is a good speed. And the ball, when it bounced, was not really fast after the bounce. It was not slicing enough, not hurting to the opponent. And now also, he changed this a little bit, not only the speed, or also the way the ball is bouncing on the court. It's much faster. So this helps him a lot to him.
Obviously, at some point, guys, and Justine, we're coming back, hopefully, from the situation that we are in with the coronavirus. At some point, the ATP tennis and WTA are going to be back. Rafa is so used to taking breaks, more used to taking breaks than Roger, more used to taking breaks than Novak. So put everything aside, take coronavirus, let's try and forget about it, and let's just focus on sports and tennis. Is this break maybe a little bit of an advantage to Rafa, because we don't have that many more years left in Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic? Could this be an advantage for Rafa, do you guys think?
To me, tennis-wise, I don't think so, because like you said, he's won 5 Grand Slams in the last 3 years, so very likely he's not going to have the chance to keep that on a roll in that way. But then once that happens, like you said, he's the one who has been more time away from the course and then being able to come back strong. That happened only once to Federer in his career. Yeah. Honestly, he came back very strong. That was 2017, but only once in his career. Djokovic, he was struggling a little bit more when he had this issue with his elbow. But anyway, all of them are great champions. They know how to compete. They are too good to feel something about that, and I'm sure that they are going to be the 3 of them as strong as they were before. But of course, maybe Rafa has an edge of that because he's been in this situation more often than the other guys.
What I can't understand, and Justine, I'm going to ask you another question, is you kind of quit pretty early too, I think. How does somebody like Rafa living in Mallorca, or Roger Federer's got 4 kids, Novak's got a couple, how do they not look at that part of life and say, you know what am I doing going out there traveling 35 weeks a year with 2 guys, Carlos and Francis and Carlos Costa, who never shave. They're all both over 40. They're in the middle-age crisis. Why am I doing this to myself? What is the secret?
There's the passion. We can feel the energy, the passion of all these guys, and in the team here, it's very clear. And these guys want to compete, you know, they want to win more Grand Slams, I think. So I would be very surprised this time at the end of this crisis that one of them would say, okay, I'm better at home. I would be surprised, but we never know what can happen, of course. Everyone is changing a little bit now.
Thank you, Justine. Carlos and Francisco, thank you so much for being with us. You wish you good luck, wish you be safe and healthy. Carlos, go and enjoy a drink in Mallorca, and Francisco, crawl back into your apartment. You're not allowed outside. And Justine, what a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. We certainly did, and we will see you soon. Thank you.